Hello guys, welcome back to the shop. What we've got here is a lesson in mower flipping. This is a Husqvarna. Uh, Came with a deck. I've got it over to the side. We'll get to that in a minute. But I bought this thing off of Facebook Marketplace in the rain. It was just a bad day to be buying a mower. So I figured I better make a video on this one because this thing has got all the problems. I really didn't get a chance to look it over as good as I wanted to. But basically, everything is broken. It's like somebody took all the bad parts they had and built a mower out of it. Let's see where we can start. First, it's got a Kohler Courage. That is your first sign of failure. When you see a Kohler Courage, be afraid. Got lucky on this one. It does not appear to have blown up. The top cover seemed to be intact and the bolts were tight, and that was a shock. So before I even started on the rest of this thing, I thought I'd try to get it running. So I tried to get it running. Put a new carburetor on it. I went to put gas in it. Here's the gas tank that was in it. Giant crack right there. I don't know how well the camera picked that up, but yeah, it pisses gas out of there like crazy. So that was a non-starter. Oh, and the tank was kind of dirty, and I didn't see that crack at first. So I went ahead and bought a new grommet and elbow for it because the elbow was broke off and the grommet was shot. Yeah, that didn't work out so well because it just leaked out of the crack. So transplanted those parts to this tank, which I had from a junker. So got the gas going to it. No spark. No spark. Well, that's interesting. Turns out the seat safety switch was screwed up. Now these are kind of funny. You unplug the seat safety switch and it's actually worse. What you got to do is take a screwdriver and poke in this little hole. Right here in the bottom of this, there's a little hole. And when you do that, this little piece comes out. Let me show you. I am sure that they've made that in this way so that you can test it. But they also made it in this way so you can't just be unplugging stuff. Well, this little piece right here pops out of there. When you unplug the seat safety, these little fingers short out everything. They basically ground out the coil, so you're never getting spark. So anyway, did that. Oh, what do you know? Now there's spark. So now I got spark and I got to start. Now I move on to the deck. Here's the deck over here. It's kind of laying broadside up here because it needs all the parts. The blades are, you could maybe sharpen them, but I'm not going to. These things are hideous. They're round. There's not any edge on them. And they're worn down quite a little bit. If you sharpened these properly, you would lose at least 1/4 of an inch of blade all the way up through here. Then you got to balance them after you've taken off 1 ounce of blade. And of course it's both sides, but it won't be perfectly even. Both blades are pretty beat up. I think I'm going to save them for emergencies, but I got new blades coming for it. But that's not all. You might wonder, well, how are the pulleys? How many of those does it need? It needs every last one. Both spindles are shot. These pulleys, that one barely turns. This one goes clack, clack, clack when you turn it, so the ball bearings are got some grooves rusted in them. The other spindle also shot. The mechanism seems to work, so there's that. And it's got the chute. Of course, it doesn't have a pin in the chute. Somebody's put one little screw in there to hold everything together, so I got to drop a pin in that. But at least the chute's there. Tires. Well, let's see. We have a flat. A flat. A flat. And, dare I say, another flat. Then you get to looking at the body. What the hell was going on here? This guy is like, he just got a welder and thought, hey, I'm just going to start randomly welding stuff. Why would you weld here? What possible use is that? There's bolts that hold this together. Why would you do here? On the hood, it takes a bolt. There's the bolt. What is this? Why are we welding that? Is a welder cheaper than a bolt? You go to Lowe's. You can get a handful of bolts, a few bucks. And we're not done. There's more welding over here. There's some more. Why? Why are we welding here? What's going on? Oh yeah, back at the deck. Let's go back to the deck. So there was some welding going on there too. This thing has little guide wheels, keep you from scalping the lawn mostly. Pick it up over stuff. This seems to be fairly well attached. Pretty bent up. Got kind of an angle in it there. I'm going to have to get that with a crescent wrench and give it a little... But this one, okay, something's crooked. What's going on here? Well, look at this weld. It looks like somebody shot at it with a weld shotgun. I mean, I've seen some bad welding. In fact, we just saw some over there on the body. Why would you be doing that? This is put on crooked. It isn't just welded. They put it on crooked. And it's bent. It's got all the problems. So I'm going to have to grind all that weld out, put this where it belongs, and weld it back. I mean, that could be worse, but I shouldn't have to do that. Oh, and there's a little hoop that goes from here around to here, so that when this is hanging down here, that keeps this blade from digging into the dirt or whatever. That's part of this. The rest of this, the deck has this edge for a reason. It's to keep the blades out of contact with the dirt. When you've got this open hole and no bar around it, any other deck will have that, except perhaps John Deere. They don't do that. They've got kind of a different way of doing things. You see, their chute goes straight out, but it's pretty far removed from the blade. Where's the deck? I don't have any good examples. Here we go. See that little bar? It's going right there. That is meant to keep the grass going straight out the chute and to keep the blade from taking a bite of dirt. And virtually every mower has that, save John Deere. John Deere likes to just have a chute out the side. But generally, every mower has that. Here's a Poland. Pick the lid up on this. There it is. See there? So, yeah. This thing has got all the problems, and this is a lesson in mower flipping. I paid $100 for this. I generally don't pay more than $100 for a dead mower. And that's after I put my hand on here and make sure it'll go 2 full revolutions without going clack and sticking. You look around it. With these, you look for a crack in the front of the block. Let me see if I can get around where you can. Kohler Courage, the first thing you look for is oil hemorrhaging. The second thing you do, if you don't see the oil hemorrhaging, maybe they cleaned it up. So you get down here and you look, here's the cylinder, the head, and then right here you'll see a crack. If they bust, they'll bust right down through here. This is opposite. This is on the exhaust side. This is on the opposite side of the carburetor. And if you see a big crack there, it's over. I fixed one. I had a guy with a TIG welder weld one up once, and it worked. But I really don't think it's worth it. But $100 running motor, so I didn't lose on this. But I'm fixing to put close to $200 in this piece of crap. That's going to have me up to $300. What's it going to sell for? $450, maybe $500. This is not a winner. This is not a winning strategy. And the seat is shot because no seat. I don't know if I've got any pads left. If I do, I can probably get some extremely good glue and put those down. Neighbors are mowing their lawn. Well, anyway, the mowing crew is mowing their lawn. I already put a fuel filter on it. It had a fuel shutoff that appears to be working and not leaking, so I left that. It's got a new air cleaner and such. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix that deck, and we're going to check the drive on it right now. Now, when you flip a mower, when you buy a mower to flip, you need to check everything, because you do not want to sell a mower to somebody that's just going to turn around and come back. You get the reputation for being a crook, and it isn't going to be very long until you don't sell mowers. The word will get out, so don't be a crook. Fix everything. All right, we're going to take this piece of cardboard out because I ain't laying in spiders today. I've got every pot indoors that I could possibly put a mower clogged up. And the worst of it is, it's hot. So I'm outside. I got to come out here in the morning. That guy with that mower, he's pretty loud. We're going to try and get her done anyway. Let me kick this cardboard up here. All right. So where we're going is underneath. Oh, with the spiders. Now we got pulleys, 3 of. You got the transmission is back here in the back. The engine is right here. There's a pulley sticking down. That's for the deck. Up above it's a belt that runs the drive. Then you got these pulleys. That one is free and nice. That one's free and nice. That one, that can't be good. That one don't move at all. And you know what's worse? Now that I'm looking under here, and I did not know this until just now, there's no drive belt. Not a damn one. Nothing. One locked up pulley. No drive belt. What the actual F? Now I wonder how that belt gets in there. Because I'm telling you, it looks like it goes right around the steering gear. All the problems. Was this mower worth $100? Well, yes. If I had stopped, jerked the motor off, and sent the rest of it to the scrapyard, I think it was worth $100. Because you can always use another running engine, and that engine, amazingly, is the only thing that ain't broke. The rest of the mower, starting to have buyer's remorse. Maybe a lot of it. This thing is a turd. Even working, it's a 46-inch, so it ain't convenient for my lawn. My lawn, even when the mowers are not piled up back here, my lawn is kind of constipated. It's got boats and my big water tank, my wife's trampoline. I really don't like to associate with that thing. I mean, in the front yard, it's okay. But with a 46-inch deck, making turns is kind of hard. I've got my own little project mower that I'd like to get working. And it's one of those little things. Not little bitty. What do they call them? Yeah, I can't think of it. It's Toro, like a little, I don't know, like a 30-inch riding push mower. It's kind of a joke. But it's practically new. I got it practically new. Somebody, it didn't run, and they took the motor apart. But I just put another motor on it, but that motor's got problems too. Yeah, well, anyway. I'm already invested in this thing now. I could just keep those parts, scrap this engine, and move on. I could do that. And I probably should. But we may be going to fix this. I've got to find out how that belt goes on. I think you've got to pull that steering to get the belt through there. I'm not sure of it, but I can't understand how else you could do it. Boy, I really don't know. Let me take the brake off. Let me look at how these are oriented. Maybe that'll tell me something. Probably not. I've got some belts. Problem is, I have no way of knowing if I got the right size belt. Oh, yeah, that pulley is locked up. That one's, it spins, but it's noisy. So is that one. All 3 pulleys. I tell you, this thing has all the problems. Every last one. At least this isn't falling out yet. Ow! May I spoke too soon. It doesn't even wiggle. My God, what is it, seized? That thing surely steers. It steers. It don't even wiggle. Usually they got a little flop in them. I don't know. I do not know what to do here. Let me think on this a bit, and I'll bring you back. All right, let me show you just how bad the parts situation is. Let me get some parts out. Here's some spindles. For whatever reason, they didn't come with bolts. Well, they come with that bolt. Hold the deck in, or the blade in. One of them. They come with one of them. How nice is that? Well, anyway, it's okay. I've got the bolts from the old one. They'll be the old ones. They're shot, but they'll work. These are the good spindles. I don't know how I come to have those. I normally just order the cheapest ones on there, and they've got sealed bearings in them, but these have the ones. It isn't just that they have the grease zerk. That's usually a lie. But these actually have the open bearing in the bottom instead of the sealed bearing, and the heavy piece of rubber that seals up the bottom of the bearing and gives it a place for the grease to get out when you pump it full of grease. So these are the real ones that actually are greasable. Way too good for this mower. Let's see, we got one of the pulleys for the deck, one of the idler pulleys. And we got the other idler pulley. It's only got two, so all of them were bad. 3 idler pulleys for the drive, because every one of them's messed up. Throw this out of the way. Here's the drive belt. That's the thing that pushes the mower down the road. These go with that. Here's 2 inner tubes. I already have 2 other inner tubes. All 4 tires are, well, they're going to need tubes. They're dry rotted, but they got tons of tread, so rather than pitch them, I'm just going to tube them up and they'll be fine. And I got a pair of blades coming. That's a lot of parts. And there's some repair work to do on the deck. I probably showed you in the previous clip, so we'll be doing that. Also, here is one of 2 deck pieces I need. This is the front rod, what you wouldn't really call it a control rod. What would you call that? Anyway, it's a support rod. It's the thing that goes from the mower deck. This would hook on the front of the mower deck and then come towards the front of the mower, and there's a little hole. This goes in, and it forms one of 3 links, like a little triangle of rods that let the deck raise and lower. Without this, your deck could just be sitting on the ground. Like I said, I had to buy bolts for these. That was $1.80 something. There's 4 already in here I've already started in. And lock washers, because I don't have the fancy bolts. It's got the serrated teeth deals. But anyway, that's the parts pile so far. Over $200 worth of parts there. More like $250, I think, if you count the blades too. That's a lot of parts to be putting in an old derelict, but what can you do? I've already bought it. What I should have done is pulled the motor and maybe the transmission and sent the rest to the scrapyard. That's what I should have done. I would have been ahead of the game. But we're making a mower out of it, so here we go. All right, well, to start with, I'm going to do the hard part first, and that is these pulleys that are noisy, and stuck. These are the idler pulleys for the drive, which means that's the thing that pushes you around, not the thing that does the mowing. So we got to route this belt. It looks like this belt, that's a flat pulley, so it must go on the, what would be from here, our right side of this steering rod that goes straight up through there, be right in the way. See, the reason I stand these on end is because getting to this crap, you could put it on the lift and roll around underneath of it, but as long as you get the gas out of it, you're okay. Oh, and the battery. Take the battery out because they will leak. The oil just runs to the back of the engine, which is fine. There's nowhere for it to leak out there. It'll all sort itself back out when you set it back down. I did notice that this tank that I replaced the leaking tank with over there by the door also leaks around this seam. How do I know that? Well, there was just a dribble of gas in there, probably half a cup full. And look, it's all piled up there, and it's leaked through and dripping on the seat. Now, like I say, there might have been half a cup, but here's the lid, here's the vent. We're talking about gas. It's way down there. I mean, it couldn't have been even a 1/16 of an inch. And if it's leaking, the only place it can be leaking, I've already checked the fitting here. It's fine. I got new rubber in that. The only place it could be leaking is this stupid seam. I I may have to get a gas tank patch kit at O'Reilly's and just patch that one and put it back in. It's got a crack in the bottom. If you look here, you can kind of see it right there. I don't know, well, maybe you can see it, but it's got a pretty good crack in it. I'm sure it leaks. There's no doubt in my mind. And I hope that's the only leak. This one, I have less faith in my ability to seal because when it's this joint, it's not like you can take it apart and glue it. They make some epoxy that maybe is gas rated. I'd have to look, but I doubt it. All in all, not the way. So I doubt this one's coming back. I didn't like this gas tank anyway, but I far prefer that one. It's cleaner, it's nicer. This one looks like ass. But the problem with that seam is it's almost impossible to fix. All right, so my air compressor's finally come up. I'm going to go get the stand to set you guys up. I'm going to start by changing these pulleys. 3 of those here. Then we're going to route that belt. Once it's in, we can set it back down. Now, the way you stand one of these up, like I said, you make sure the gas is out of it for the most part. If your fuel tank ain't leaking like this one, a quarter of a tank of gas ain't going to matter because it can't get to the parts that would leak. Your transmission, it really depends on the mower. This one has a screw-in fill plug, so it's not cracked. Hallelujah. It'll probably be fine. I don't think it'll leak. If it does, it won't leak much. You can always put some back in there. You do need to chock the wheels on both sides. You need to chock them in the back or you'll never get it stood up because as you're raising it up, it's just going to walk away from you. You're just going to be chasing it all over the yard. You don't want to do that. You need to have something near it that you can hitch it to. I bungee corded the steering wheel to this four-wheeler that does not move easily. And it's in gear, so it's not going anywhere. That will keep it from tipping forward back onto its feet. You also don't want it to tip backwards. It's pretty unlikely, but it could do it because if there's nothing here, like I have here, to keep that from happening, this engine is the center of gravity here. This is the heavy part. If you push on it or fighting with it and it starts to go, it'll finish going. Ideally, what you would want to do is have a hook in the rafters or something and an electric winch or something with a lift that you could just hook on, like right here would probably be fine, although you'd probably mangle this, so I don't know, but there's got to be a place. I've seen others do it, hook onto these things, maybe on one side of the front end, that would definitely work, and just run it up until it's standing upright and let the winch hold it from falling over. Well, we don't have that here, so what I've done looks like this, and it'll work. And I can get to all those pulleys without rupturing myself or having bugs fall on my face while I'm laying under it. So let me get the stand. We'll start swapping pulleys. All right, I guess I'm going to start with this bottom one. I've got a 3/8 impact, which may not be enough, but let's hope. Yep, it worked. Okay, this is a V, and it is the long shaft one. So here is the V pulley with a long shaft. Put that right back where I had it. These are those, what they call them, carriage bolts. I got a little square thing on the shank to fit in the socket. So wherever you've got, stupid bug, wherever you've got them mounted, as long as they got that, you can kind of hold the other end to keep it in, but you don't have to have a wrench. And we're going to put this baby in forward. And one more. That's got. Okay. This one holds the whole world together, I got a feeling. I kind of want to do that one first. But for that, I've got to lock the brake because you see this rod, that goes to the gas pedal, I guess, yeah. This rod right square in the middle of that bolt. So unless you wanted to do it with an open-end wrench and take all day, that's what you'd use. All right, let's lock that brake. That should have, yes it did, pull it out there in the middle. We'll try that one. Put ourselves in reverse. Feel around, see if there's any spiders about to kick my ass. And that's off. That is a V-belt with a short extension. That one. Hold all of that. Just take off the pulley. Get the new pulley. The nut on. Oh my. Oh, there it goes. Wasn't quite dropping in there to suit me to begin with. Put the wrench in forward. Sounds good to me. Okay, last one. I want to take the tension off of this because this is the hinge for this whole contraption. And with that spring pulling on it, might be a little tough once the nut comes off to get everything put back where I want it. So we're gonna step on the brake, set that back down, and do the next one. All right, in reverse. Now, if I remember right, I spider webs, that fills me with confidence. I felt back here, yeah, it's a blind hole. So, wish me luck. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't like that, though. See how that spring's pulling it over? That can't be a good thing. But that one is a flat pulley with a short shaft, and that's the one that's absolutely, it stops now and then. I got it moving now. Technically, it would work for half a mowing, then it'd blow up, melt. I've had them melt. All right, that goes here. And then we've got to say our prayers that this thing doesn't fight me when I go to put it back together. Because, oh, and there it is, just what I was afraid of. Yeah, now how do it's that spring. Can I disconnect that spring? Not easily, I can tell you that. Oh, that sounded less good. Is that in? There's only one way to know. Push this up, put that nut in. See, that has a swivel washer that fits in a specific spot, and unless it's in that specific spot, it don't work. I really need that spring off of there. Can I just manhandle that thing off of there? Oh, no. Huh. Well, what we can do is tighten it up some. Put this on forward. Just tighten it, but not absolutely rupture it. Okay, it's tightened a little. Oh, it's tightened more than a little. I put this in reverse. See if that's enough to make it move. Not easily. Okay. We're going to have problems. See if I can show you the problem. Below here, right here, there is a washer. That washer has to fit in a hole. And it's in that hole. And then this has to go in. And then this has to go in. And that's all good so far. And then this has to go in. And then this has to go in. And then I'm going to have to try to tighten it with my left hand. Good luck with that. Pray it works. All right, get on there. And then you got the problem. And you know what the problem is? Ha! There. Still moves. Yep. Now, give it everything we got. Still moves. Oh, hot damn. Okay, let me go get the belt and we'll start on that part. All right, we got the belt on. It's a relatively simple thing. It's a lot simpler when I remember to turn on the camera before I get started. I thought I did, but I did not. Okay, so I at first tried to hook it around this one, thinking I would have enough belt to get it over that big pulley. Turns out I did not. I thought I was going to have to pull that pulley off, but I took the bolt out and it wasn't coming off easy, and I don't want to bend it up. So I just put the bolt back in and put it over all of this. It goes in that little pulley down here next to the engine. And then went ahead and routed it. It goes to the side of this post. When you first look at it, this is your steering rod. Comes from the steering wheel all the way down. It terminates in a gear here. And you would think you'd have to take all this crap off to look at it, but it goes around it. It goes over to the side of it. You got to route it through these pulleys once you've got it on both ends. To get it on this far end here, what I had to do was hook it on the edge, put it between blades, and then slowly turn that thing and let it walk its way onto the pulley down there. Surprisingly enough, it didn't have enough to reach over past this fan. Now, after that was done, you thread one here behind this. That's a belt keeper. You just thread it behind here. This is a V pulley, so the V side goes in there. And that side is pretty much uninterrupted all the way up to the engine. Doesn't touch anything, doesn't get near anything. Coming back, it goes on, this is a flat pulley. It goes on the back side of the belt, this piece back here. Of course, you can't see it, but it's right up here. Goes around, and then here's another belt keeper. And then here's a V pulley again, so the V side of the belt goes in here. And for that, you're best to step on that brake pedal and lock it, take all the slack out of it. I just pulled it over and got it on because it was easy at the time, but it's a lot easier if you did it the right way and stepped on that pedal and locked it, because then all the slack is off of this belt. But that belt seems good and tight for the drive unit, and that pretty much has us done here. I'm going to spray this steering gear while I'm here. I'm going to spray this part, the teeth, and this part that it rides in with some probably lithium grease. I've got a spray can of lithium grease just to lube it up, because you can see where it's been rubbing the rust here. And that's making it harder to steer than it needs to be. Also, while she's up in the air, these tires need tubes. And I have tubes, and I'm going to have to tube them. So while it's up, might as well take them off. Don't even have to jack that end up for that. So those are my next jobs. But the belt, the drive system should be done. If there's no trouble with the transmission, which the way this mower's been going, everything else is broke. Why wouldn't that be? Well, you got me. But I'm telling you, with the luck I've been having, it would be very surprising to me if I'm not going to end up with transmission problems too, and all this was for nothing. But you can't test it until you got a belt on it. And running a belt on the pulleys it had probably wasn't a good idea, because at least one of them was locked up. It kind of came loose-ish, but it'll bind up again probably while you're running it. So it's best to at least be in a position. And if this thing turns out to be a complete flop, I can still take these pulleys off. I'll need them for another one. I mean, that's a given. That is an absolute certainty. Same goes with that belt. I will eventually, this one didn't even have the belt on there, if you can imagine that. But I will eventually need a belt. So I'm not losing anything yet, but my time. And I don't know what that's worth, honestly. I haven't ever, tried to sell it. All right. So let me get some grease this up. I'm going to take these tires off. You've seen me change a tire before. That's pretty mundane. This is something any trained chimp can do probably. So we're going to go with that. And then we'll layer back down and start on that deck, because it's also a disaster. Okay, I just greased up the spindles. These, like I said, are the good ones that have grease fittings. Actually, that by itself doesn't make it a good one. It also has to have the proper bearings and not sealed bearings. See how this bearing has a cover? That's a sealed bearing. On the back side, there's a seal too, but the top bearing isn't the one you worry about. The one to worry about is the bottom bearing. And this one has the open bearing with the large rubber washer, which makes it a good one. So how do you grease these? Well, grease gun, obviously. But you grease them until you see a little bit of grease trying to sneak up from behind this cover. Now, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but there's a ring of grease all the way around the inside of that, which is exactly what you want. Let me show you with the other one. This one I haven't... let me wipe it off. It's kind of got a little grease on the tit here. Let me get that grease picked up. All right, that's better. Now, this one you can see it a lot better. You can see that grease right in here. That's kind of, if I get my finger in there, I can get some of it. See there? That grease that's sneaking out means she is full all the way from here to the bottom, and it was escaping past that rubber, which is what it's supposed to do. In the future, after you've used this a while, if you need to grease it again, well, then what you do is you hook the grease gun on it and you pump it until you see just a little bit of grease come out. As soon as a little grease comes out, that's it. You've moved it through. You've just verified that it's full. That's mostly what you're doing, but it will slowly work its way through that bearing and out of here. And that's what it's supposed to do. That's what keeps the bearing all greasy and nice and makes these last way longer. The sealed bearing ones, they really don't last that long. There's only a minuscule amount of grease, and sometimes they look like they haven't been greased at all. And a couple of years, they're done. That grease has dried up. Water has gotten through there. Water ain't getting through all that grease. All right, well, that's done. So I think what I'm going to do with you guys, I'm not going to do those tires on camera because that's the kind of thing you've seen before, I'm sure. It's very mundane. We're going to rebuild that deck. So let me get you resituated here, and we'll start ripping parts off of that deck and putting new parts on it. All right, since we are removing the spindles, and since the spindles, damn these wasps, since the spindles don't come with these pulleys, we have to take them off first. And that, I've got to tell you, I'm going to put some grease on them. That needs a little shot of the goop. Let me get in the shed here. I'm going to put a little blaster on them. They're a little rusty. I'm not at all worried about breaking the bolt or the nut or whatever, because I ain't reusing them. Thankfully, at least it come with that. But I don't want to fight them all day either. All right. Like you see, they ain't budging with a 1/2-inch impact. Yeah, it's not going to go well. Not touching it. So you know what we're going to have to do? Supersized brickover bar. I don't like that, but I had a hunch. All right, one supersized brickover bar. And we're going to need a board. So the way this is done when they are good and stuck like these are, is you get a board and you find a place you can wedge the blade. Problem being, there aren't many good places. Let's see. Oh no. This all looks... Okay. I think I just kicked my board out and did not loosen that at all. Yeah. That's going to be a problem. Maybe there. I doubt it. Yeah, there it went. Okay, so I just took this board, put the blade up here, and stuck this in it, kind of jammed it in there so that it couldn't turn. I didn't give it a choice but to come off. Those are somewhat ridiculously tight. All right. Not so much now. And why did we take all this apart? Just for this one piece right here. Got to have that pulley. Can't really work without it. Now that bottom one did the same thing to me. So I guess we're doing it again. Let's see if I can't put you in a place where you can see what I'm doing. To get those loose. This is going to be a little crooked, but bear with me. So, get your socket off of the air ratchet. Is that nut down? We're not using it right now. Is there a washer on here? Yeah, steal it. Okay. So basically what we're doing is this. Turn this deck around. Turn this camera down here where I'm working. So I've got to wedge this blade. What I'm doing is getting that blade in a place like so, where that board will stop the blade. Then, once that board has blocked the blade where it can't move, see what I got there? Now I can bear down on this and lose the board because I moved the ratchet just a second. Moved it just more than I wanted to. There. Right there like that. Get it wedged in there good. Bear down on it. And it comes loose. People think impacts are so strong. They're not. I've run into truck tires numerous times. The impact wouldn't touch, and nothing more than a little breakover bar, not even big as this, and cracked them loose. Impacts repeatedly hit a thing, and that'll let you tighten something a lot more than it'll let you loosen it, strangely enough. All right. Well, let's buzz that off of there. Oh. Really? Oh, you're not pushed in, are you? And there it is. Oh, yeah, it's going to be this stupid thing and this brake. Come on. Which way you go? This way? Yeah. There. There's my pulleys. And I want that washer. Now, this already, my new ones come with them, but these are better. Those are just little rings. They're a lot better. Now, we got other things we got to do. Aside from pulling the pulleys, we got idler pulleys that need replaced. And we got to get those spindles that's in there out of there. We also got belt keepers. Here's a belt keeper. Here's a belt keeper. We got to remember where those are and put them back where they belong. We got a belt guard there. It looks like it's only half attached. This side, the bolt's still there. It just pulled through the plastic. We can fix that and put a washer under that. It'll be all right because it's not really pulled through that much. It'd almost stay. Okay. Let me change tools and I'll be back. All right, I think we're going to change these pulleys out first. They're going to be the easiest probably. All right. This one has a nut on the back and a bolt in the front. It's not ideal, but that's how it is. I kind of prefer them the other way around. There's a a bolt and a washer. Just put it in the way you took it off. This belt tensioner you want to make sure is exactly the way it was. Of course, I'm stuck. There. The goal here is to get that threaded back into that nut as much as you can. Hold it there. Put yourself in go gear. Slip over that. Good enough. Seems to be on. And more importantly, quiet. Boy, that pulley's not the straightest thing I ever did see. Well, that's a made in America part. Or as I just believe, most of them's Chinese, but I guess been a little shortage here and there. Some of my parts triple the price and made in America. All right. This one, this bottom one, let's see if we can get you on there. It has one of them carriage bolts, so all I gotta do is put a finger on the back side to keep it in place. If I can get in here without kinking my hose. Gotta hate it when I kink my hose. Down there. Reverse. Piece of cake. That one offered no resistance. It wasn't like the others. All right, I'm gonna take that pulley off, preferably, without anything else. Just the pulley, please. Now this one, strangely, does not have a washer, but I kind of see why. You got the bearing, and you got this piece here has been driven into the bearing. It's knurled, so it'll stay. But the nut is flanged, and it kind of catches both things without getting into the sealed bearing. The seal for the bearing, like here. The nut's on there. It can't touch the rubber. Doesn't really need a washer. And it does reach just barely to the edge of the bearing, so it'll be fine. All right, so this goes on exactly the way I took the other one off, being sure that this is right where it was, this belt keeper here. You want that right the way she goes. You wiggle jiggle until she's in. Put that nut on. Put this baby in go. And she's done. Now this is rubbing on something. Oh, I see. This is loose because there's no pulley here. It's hitting this belt keeper, kind of like these up top here. Now those are bolted into two different places. Go figure. How convenient's that, right? Two different places. So there's going to be a lot of hammering to get them loose. Question is, are they 1/2 inch or are they 9/16? I'd be a 1/2 inch. So we're going to need the 1/2 inch socket. I'm just knocking them straight out of there. I may have to rob one or maybe even both of the bolts to put the blades back on with, because for some reason these American-made spindles were missing parts. Figure that one out. 1/2 inch looks like. Now you might ask yourself, are you going to heat those up? Are you going to spray them with some juice? Are you going to take any effort whatsoever not to twist the nuts off or the bolts off in them? The answer is no. No, I'm not, because it's cheaper, even with the overpriced American-made parts, to replace these generally than it is to try and save them and rebuild them. And those bolts will always break off. It's like 1 out of 4 maybe will just come out, the rest break off. There's no point. Boy, talk about luck. I say that and the first one comes right out. Get on there. Second one came right out. Boy, talk about a lucky streak. Third one. Man, am I ever having a lucky streak here? Can it last? Apparently, because that's all 4. I can't explain it, but there they are. And the belt keeper. Just got to remember that went up here. And honestly, I don't know why that one is the way it is. It's on wrong. It should be on the outside. I don't know what they were doing. Somebody's changed these, obviously. I wonder if they put a little something on to keep them from, screwing up totally. Well, let's get a new spindle. This part's fairly easy. Get that keeper. That's kind of like making a sandwich. You just have to be sure you got your bread and your mayonnaise in the right places. Spindle comes in from behind. Belt keeper goes here. And if you can get your bolts started, you just start them some. You don't want to go crazy. Those are both started. Then you get you a couple more. Oh, here's one. I did scrounge around and come up with some of the correct bolts. All but one. One is incorrect. Not much I can do about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use that one. So what I did, let me get a good one. Well, I say good one. Kind of supposed to have. It doesn't necessarily make it good. Okay. I'm going to replace this one with the wrong bolt, right bolt. It's the correct threads and everything, but it's got a lock washer instead of that toothy flange. But since I'm biting down into something a little heavier, this belt keeper, a lot heavier than that deck metal. It's a stamped piece of 5/16 steel. It's been stamped flat, so it's about a little over 1/8 thick. That lock washer get a lot better bite of that. Probably a better way to go. Now we get one of these. Pull them all up. Thread that in. Make sure this one started right. It is. Okay, those are all in. They're not run down, but they're in. I'm going to put that on there so I don't lose it. We're going to get our gun. Bet you thought I was going to use that 1/2 inch. Where's that 3/8 gun? And a 1/2 inch socket, I believe is what we've been using. Yeah, I'm going to use 3/8 gun, put these in. I want to strip them. And if there's one thing I can say about this 3/8 gun, it's weak as a popcorn fart. I don't have to worry about stripping no bolts with it. That was 1/2 inch, yes. Better triple check. Yeah. Okay. I'm just touching them for the moment. Just getting them in. Well, that's in, good enough. All right. We just got one spindle due down there. It's exactly the same as the other one, so I'm not going to bother to record that. We'll be back when it's over. Well, I decided to go ahead and use the washers that these spindles came with. They're bigger, and I don't know that that is necessarily better. In fact, I can't really see why it would be better or worse either way. But I'm going to go ahead and use them. Now, these take that big old socket. And I don't have a blade on there anymore. So tightening them down is going to mean a couple of extra chugs on this impact. And the reason for that is they're going to have a lot of bounce because nothing to hold on to but the pulley doesn't quite give you the leverage it does if you have the blade. But we're going to muddle through. Okay, we're on there, we're ready. We just need to I'm hoping that's enough. It ought to be. I might hit them again when I get blades on it where I can hold them properly. Okay, so bottom one, exact repeat of the top one. These pulleys go either way. I think I'm going to put the number sides down on that one, so I'm going to put number side down on this one. Just kind of make them the same. That goes there. Big ass nut goes here. An impact. Whoop, knock camera around. Good as I can do without something stronger to hold it. Well, that's pretty well got the deck except for the blades. Nothing to that, just one bolt. Make sure you put them on the right way, I guess. I'm going to reattach this spring. Goes from here to there. That's for your brake, which is in amazingly good shape. I just loosened this enough to kick it out of my way. Let me see if I can find a washer. About a 1/4 inch washer would be great. Of course, the compressor kicked on. I got a few choices here. I'm going to bring both of them. I don't know which is better. But I mean to have that guard on there. It's not a hard thing to do. There's no reason not to do it. These bolts sure are rusty. I can't imagine why a bolt threaded through a deck with the threads protruding into the area that the wet grass goes would rust. But there you are. Apparently it happens. Is it loose enough? Yeah. All right, 2 things I need to check here. Diameter is the bolt. Bolt fits good. And does it fit good over this? It does. Okay, we're using the bigger one. I tell you, these ratchet wrenches are king of the walk. Now that washer should keep this from coming off again. That's plenty tight. It's crushing plastic. It doesn't have to be super tight. Am I going to regret putting that on there? Probably. All right, let me go put this washer up the extra. Okay. What's our next trick? Guess we should go ahead and put the belt back on. No reason not to. Probably be a struggle. All right. Here's the part where I regret putting that cover on. Probably. Get on there. Get it past that keeper. That's a good keeper. It's working, I can tell by the way the belt doesn't want to go back in there at all. Oh my Lord, what's stopping me? Oh, this cover. Oh, yeah. Of course. I can't see well enough to say what part of that is holding it. So I'm going to loosen a little. There it went. Okay. Didn't want to really take it all the way off. Didn't have to. Now I got a cover on this side. For whatever reason, I ain't got one for the other side. I don't know if I got one in my spare parts bucket. It's a possibility. I'll give it a 1 out of 10. It's one of those things that could happen, like aliens could visit, but probably won't happen like aliens could visit. Okay. That belt on there. Well, one more keeper. Like that. Bend that a little bit more. There, that's good and centered. Okay. That's got her. Just need blades. I'll see what I can do about finding some blades. Well, I went ahead and recycled these bolts that were in the old blades. They're just better. What I had around here, I had one it came with, which wasn't the greatest, and it didn't come with two. So I just went ahead and reused them. I did put, you see this big splut of stuff here? That's where I shot them with some lithium grease before I ran them down good and tight, in the hopes that they won't rust in place like they were when I took them out of the old blades. And these are high lift or bagger blades. That's the only kind I ever really use. Mulching blades just don't do as good a job. They don't make as good a cut, and they don't discharge well, obviously, because they're mulching blades. And mulching is about the worst thing you can do to a deck. This deck is partially in really great shape and partially bad. Look, there's even paint still. But then you look down here, and it's all broke up down here. It's missing that piece that goes across. How does a person take an otherwise good blade and foul it up like this? I'm at a loss. I got nothing. I can't explain it. I don't know what happened here. But the deck is mostly good shape. It can be repaired. I plan on fixing that a little bit. But yeah, it's that's got the deck pretty much, other than I really need to replace that hoop that's missing. I'll just make one out of angle iron. I'll show you how, maybe. But anyway, the deck is done. The belts are on this. I have not done the tires. I'm going to do the tires off camera. There's really nothing to that. I might show one, just in case somebody's never seen a tire changed on a Harbor Freight tire machine. But that's a job for in the morning when the air conditioner will still do something. It's really hot. So I'm going to quit for now, other than I'm going to take that lithium grease to this steering plate here. That's not exactly a difficult job. Let me see if I can get enough feet on this stand. All right, that on that plate. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. There's nothing to it. Now, I got a little tip and trick for you here. If you get one of these cans, this one's Blaster White Lithium Grease. If you get one of these and it doesn't spray right side up, it just blows air like that. There's a reason it just blows air. The reason is you've dropped that can, or someone dropped it at the store, because that also is a thing. And what happened after they dropped it is, I guess, the obvious thing. The little straw inside of here has fallen off. So you turn the can upside down and it works again. And basically the idea I'm going with here is spray the crap out of that. Now I've got to unhook my steering wheel that I've got hooked up to keep it from falling on my head. Good luck. That's just getting harder, not easier. You know, this is weird because this was kind of loose when I first put it on, and now it's not. Huh. Oh, I know why. The tires are going down, I bet you. I have to put a tube in every single tire. Oh, there. Okay. Yep, the tire's definitely going down. And that's why she did that. Okay, but I should be able to steer it now, right? Yes. Okay. So, I'll put a little more. Put some in that hole. We're going to go the other way. I'm really drowned in that thing. I want that to be nice and easy. Now we're going to get this. Turn it upside down, start spraying, start rolling. You want to get that on your pulleys as much as you can to grease up that belt good so it slips. I'll have to get some cleaner and get that off of there. But the goal is lube that a little bit, but you don't want to lube it with something's going to collect all the grass. And white lithium grease is a little less likely to collect all the grass than some of the other options. I just greased these little steering spindles up here, and that's going to make that a lot better. Anyway, we're done here for today. So I will connect you back for the next part of this, probably tomorrow. Alright, I said I'd show you one tire, so I'm going to try and do that. Nasty tires. Now these are horribly weather cracked. I don't know if the camera will even pick it up, and hard as a carb. So it's positively critical to get a little soapy water on this and make it as easy as possible, because this tire will shatter like a freaking egg. Now, I've already popped it off the bead. Basically, the way that works, you put this is a Harbor Freight lawnmower or small tire machine. It's all manual. There's no machinery to it really other than a lever. But it really does make this job a lot easier. Several companies make it. Harbor Freight didn't pay me anything, but it certainly didn't give me the tool. But it's cheap and it works. Now you want this tightened down quite a little bit, because what we're going to be doing here in a little bit is going to want to turn that tire, and it's going to turn anyway, but the harder it is for it to turn, the better it is for us. Got some inner tubes here we'll be using. Okay. So we're going to take this off the bead. Now, take it off the rim. To get it off the bead, this little hole here lines up with this little thing, and there's a little pin. So you put the pin in it, you put this right on the edge of the bead, push it down, and it pops that bead right off. It comes with instructions if you happen to come up with one of these. If you don't have a tire tool and you're trying to do this, you can put it like under a car and put a bottle jack here. Start pumping the bottle jack and push it off, or you can use a C-clamp, but you'll probably tear up the tire with a C-clamp if it's as brittle and old as this one is. So, better to have the machine if you can, but if you can't, well, there was a while I didn't have one. Back when I was a kid, I didn't have one. I managed to pull this off. Now you want to push that tire down. If you look at the rim, there's kind of a recessed spot all the way around here. It's much closer to the hub. That gives the tire room to move so that you can do what I'm about to do. You push that tire down so that the edge, this back edge, is going to go down in there. And then as you lean this forward, see the tire goes right in that and gives you some room to work with. Now look at them cracks. This is what makes that dangerous. When you're working with these tires that are cracked up like this, they're very prone to breakage. The tire is. You crack that tire to bits if you're not careful. And we don't want to do that. And this one is very stiff. Oh, and I may have to put something in there because it's trying to go back down as I go by. Screwdriver is one option. I also have, I may have hung them up already. I did have some little pry bar tools. Let's see. Now, you're supposed to technically be down below this, like this. But I'm afraid I'm going to dig in if I ain't careful. I might want to go get them pry bar tools. See, what we're up to is getting this off of the rim on one side. The other side is already off the bead. My God, I'm going to get them tools. So I'm telling you, this is going to run into a disaster before it's over. I got the big one over there. Wonder where the little one is. Down here? Maybe? Let me look. I know it's here, but I know not where. Ooh, here's a big screwdriver. It's always a good choice. I know I just saw that thing. In fact, I know I just saw it right here. But of course, once you look for a thing, it's never where you saw it last. How about there? There it is. Okay, here's another invaluable tool when you're pulling the heads off a engine, or in this case, playing with a tire. You can use that to kind of slip over that bead. Slip the bead over the rim, I guess. But you got to pick your spot. You want to do it where it's already almost going over. Now she'll walk right off of there. Okay. Well, that was the hard part. Well, that's not true. Putting it back on will be. This tire is completely full of water. Of course it is. And I'm going to solve that by pretending I didn't see it and move on. If the water comes out of the tire, well, just hope it don't come out of the tire in here. It's probably going to. I don't have anything that'll soak it up. Not that much water. And it's almost impossible to get out unless you take the tire the rest of the way off the rim. And if you do that, you're going to spill the water everywhere, wherever your tire machine is, and you do need the machine to do it about. Okay, we're going to pretend we didn't see that. See how that works out. I need to loosen this just a little, so I want to turn this rim that ain't going to turn. Loosen it up a little bit more. Come on, rim. I can't even get a hold of it. There it is. Oh, this way? Sure. That's the way you want to go. Let's go that way. Okay. Now, valve stem. There's a thing we ain't going to need. So, I'm going to get some cutters. Let's see here. Pliers drawer. Little cutters. So what we're going to do here, bite this thing right off. I'm using these cutters to bite this valve stem right off at the tire, or at the wheel. I get it bit off just enough. Should allow me almost. Okay. Oh, and there it goes. The back half fell right out. There's the valve stem. There wasn't a thing wrong with that valve stem, but can't use it with a tube. It comes with its own. Let's get into these. There's some. There's some. All right. What have we surely got more than one in here, but I bet we don't. You bet. No, there might be two. Yeah. Okay. 2 in 1 package. All right. Looks like it goes that way. This part is not easy. What we have to do is try to tuck this in all the way around, and it has to go over that rim. And those two things together make it hard. One at a time's a breeze, but you kind of got to do them both. Not quite at the same time, but awful close. Once this is inside the tire and you're fighting with that, yeah, I already see I'm having problems. All right. Get in there. This one's going to fight me tooth and nail for no reason. There's nothing holding me up. Just go in there. Now, how this tube could be getting such traction on this tire. All right, we're gaining on it now. All right, you don't want any wrinkles. I guess that kind of goes without saying. Now that we're inside the tire, we're not even close to done, because the next thing is to get the tube inside the rim, around the outer edge like a donut. So it's got to tuck down in there all the way around. Once it's tucked in, now we got that valve stem to deal with. He's right here. We want him to come through that hole right there. Now, we got the valve stem. What do we do with it? Because we're going to lose it again if we ain't careful. So I got another tool. Let's see if I can round it up. Right there. Fan noise. It's hot. I got the air on just a little after the sun come up, and I got a bad feeling if I hadn't. And it fell through. So, like I said, the valve stem, hard thing to fight with and win. But I got a tool that simplifies that. Now, some people will take a pair of vice grips and grab this, a little pair, and just leave it, and you can do that. I do that when I'm airing them up because I only got 2 hands and it requires 3. This little fella here, it takes out valve cores. It screws over. I believe that's meant to be a thread chaser because it's got the little cuts in it. But what I do with it is use it as a valve cap that's too big to pull through the hole, which basically keeps that inner tube stem where I want it. And where I want it is where I can get air in it, outside of the wheel, not fell down inside. Now, I've got that threaded on enough it won't fall through, but I'm going to go ahead and run it in, all the way. Now what we got to do is put that back on the wheel, which is less fun than it sounds. Okay, we're going to spray it again because it's already drying up. Soapy water for the win. A little bit of lube goes a long way. Now, this part is kind of a pain. I probably need another spacer. Normally I wouldn't, but I do. The idea is to get a little room here to lean that tool on. You'll see. And this thing is so greasy I don't even want to touch it, but what's it going to hurt? Alright, out she comes. Well, as predicted, some of the water started coming out of this tire, which, I mean, is obviously going to happen. I got way too much air in that tire. I'm going to let some out. That's pretty good right there. Take the vice grips off. Check to be sure it's seated on both sides. Whatever water's left in that tire ain't gonna hurt a thing. But there you have it. That is putting a tube in a tire. It's pretty simple. All right, for our next trick, we're gonna try to repair this gas tank. So as you can see, there's a huge crack right there. There's a couple of little radial cracks here, right around the injection spot here where they molded this. Now I don't see any other cracks, so what we're going to do first is I want to clean this. I already washed it, but I want to get the surface rough and preferably clean of any dirt, oil, anything like that. I've washed it so the oil's gone. So now what we're trying to do is rough this up and get it cleaned off so there's absolutely nothing getting in our repair. Now the way I'm going to repair this, that's pretty scratchy. I'd like to have it a little more scratchy, but pretty scratchy is probably good enough. And I am using rough sandpaper on purpose. You'll see why in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is try and weld that shut with a soldering iron. That's not an easy task, and there's no way to really guide yourself. I'm going to do these little ones first. And what you want to do is go right down the crack, melting the plastic. There's another crack right here. Right through there, melt the plastic. Don't go all the way through. There's 2 cracks here. I want to get that one, and then this big one. Now, this big one is the problem. Okay, we've melted in there. Now, if I can do this without burning myself, we want to smash plastic down in that with the soldering iron gently. But we do want it hot enough that it does melt. Now, this is kind of a 2-stage process because, in my opinion, this weakens the plastic, probably makes it more likely to melt here in the future. So once I think I've got this melted shut, I'm going to come in with something else. Okay, I think that's pretty well sealed. Now, I'm going to unplug that soldering iron because we shouldn't need it again. Step 2, I'm going to sand it again just a little. Make sure this is roughed up as well as we can. Okay, now I got some 2-tube epoxy here from JB Weld. This is not JB Weld. This is 2-tube epoxy. It's a somewhat different thing. If I can figure out how to get that unplugged. There we go. Oh, of course it lost the rubber in there. That's not good. There we go. This stuff's probably going to be clogged up. That would be my luck. And find a toothpick, which probably is not going to be tough enough. Might need something more drastic. Let's see how clogged this is. That's okay. That, however, seems to be pretty well clogged. What have I got? I'll punch a hole in that. I can't get that out of there, can I? Well, there. That's a problem. How about a sharp knife? This tube is almost empty. So it's going to be a miracle if it works at all. Let me get these chunks off of here. Put them on the sandpaper, I guess. All right, let's see if we can get in there. It's kind of imperative we get both sides. Man, that's really stuck. Wonder if I could... Well, I don't really want to try it. I was going to say I wonder if I could cut the end off, but thinking about it, that might not be the best plan. But down in there, behind all of this chunks of plastic, is the actual epoxy. Let me see if I can put this somewhere I can actually put a little bit of pressure on it. My God, that's hard stuff. Yeah, it don't come out easy. It's the resin side, I think, that's clogged. I'm hoping that this is not clogged up completely. I didn't count on this problem when I pressed play. That is all pretty hard. Well, let me see if I can squirt some of that out, but I don't think I can. Yeah. I'm not going to get in there, am I? What's that? Toothpick again. Okay, maybe. Maybe. Let's see if it comes out. It's not looking promising, I gotta tell you. I don't think I can cut into the tube either. It is not moving. No. This may be ruined. See if I can. Yeah, I can cut into the tube. I don't know if it's going to do any good, but it can. Can I cut the tubes apart? Yep. All right. So what I'm going to do is see if I can. Oh, most of my problem is there ain't none left hardly. There's a little bit. I'm getting it. A little bit hardened up. Let me turn this paper around here. I realize I'm not in the shot, but I got limited time to do this before it hardens. Basically, what I'm doing is digging this out of the tube. Not the way I had hoped for this to go. This JB Weld plastic epoxy is very strong. And what I want it for is to firm up that repair. I don't expect this to hold gasoline in. It's not that kind of thing. Put some activator out. Make as big a mess as I possibly can. My goal here is to go over that with this epoxy enough that the crack can't reoccur. That's it. I'm not expecting this to hold gasoline. I'm expecting my repair to hold gasoline. And I'm expecting this to keep it strong. That's good enough. It ain't great. And that's what I had to do to get out the last little bit of epoxy. That's sad, really. But I should have put enough activator. It should be good. All right, well, that's the end of that. I'm going to have to buy another tube of that crap. See if I can get this off of my good knife. Yeah, I'm guessing no. Knife, fingers. That resin's good stuff. But if I don't do this right now, it's never coming off. Almost. Okay, we're going to let that harden for a while. And then we're going to try some gas in it. I'm going to have to change this rubber out. I'm pretty sure it leaks. I've got a brand new rubber out in the other tank. It, of course, leaks, so that rubber's coming out, and we'll swap it over to this one. This one, there's places where it's loose, and if it's loose anywhere when you turn it, she's going to leak. All right, I'll be back here in a little bit. Okay, one of the last things we got to do here is this deck is missing a bar that goes right around here. And so what I've done is I bought myself some 1-inch angle iron and some flat strap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a piece of angle iron that's curved. Now that seems almost impossible because you can't really bend angle iron. So what we're going to do is cut this about every 1.5 inches, maybe every inch. I'll look at it, see what I think will work. And then we're going to weld it in right over here. It's going to come around, and it's going to get welded in right here. Now all those cuts are going to make that angle iron less stable. So I'm going to take this flat strap and cut it into 1 inch or 1.5 inch pieces, depending upon how far apart I decide to make the slices, and weld those in. Where this angle iron is cut, there will be a little square, and of course this will be bent, and it'll fill that hole and reinforce it where it once was angle iron and now it's a piece of strap with a bunch of teeth. Then it'll be angle iron again. It's a lot of work, but this has to be done. This blade hanging out here is an ankle killer for starters, and for second, this thing, once it's got a proper bolt through it, is still going to be down here in a place where it could get jobbled around and chewed to pieces by that blade, which I don't want to have happen. So we're going to put that back on there. That also keeps you from brushing up close to a tree and chopping your tree down with your blade. Nothing but bad things happen when that blade gets in contact with anything but grass. Grass is what we want, not whatever you're mowing close to. So that's something I'm going to do off camera, and I'll bring you back when it's maybe after I make the cuts and the bends and get it how I want it. And then I'll clamp it on, get it level with the deck. It has to be perfectly flat with the deck. And then weld it in place, and then start welding up all the little slices. But we'll be back. Okay, so here's what I've come up with so far. I went ahead and stretched this out to 2 inches. That seemed to be plenty to make a good curve. And I tried to match the curve of the other side of the deck because that's, the circle we're working with. So I come over here. I'll have to do some trimming on this to make it fit just right. But here's where we're at so far. That there and that there. It looks just about right. There's a little bit more of a gap here than I would have expected, but looking at some other decks, that's about the gap. So this will sit down in here. I've got pieces in the way. I got to cut some off. But that should be about right. So I'm going to zing this off here where I made my last cut, because it looks like there'll be ample overlap on both sides. So I'll zing that off there, and we'll get this over to the concrete where we can get it dead flat with the bottom of the deck, or as close as we're going to. It has to be level so it's not gouging into the dirt, and get it attached to the deck. And then we'll start cutting little pieces to put in there and fill all those gaps. Well, we won't really fill them. We'll bridge across them. They'll be right on top of here. all down through there. Then I'll weld them from the backside, which will fill them, grind them off flat so they're not digging in the dirt. Should be okay. All right, let me go do a bunch of chopping again. All right, after lots of welding, here's what I come up with. This, you see, is cut every 2 inches. And then I welded a little strip of metal between where the cut is underneath. And so it leaves a few gaps. I could have filled them with a welder, but would just be a waste of rod as long as it's tacked down good. Had a little porosity there. Not a lot I could do about that. But anyway, flux core welding at its finest. I'm going to get the grinder and clean this up real good and bring you back once it's painted and looks nice. All right, well, I got her painted up and then I tested it. And I managed to match that paint somehow. I gave it a guess. There was a few places up here that I've painted with it. And if you look, it's pretty hard to tell where the new paint is, other than it's clean and nice looking and not kind of, fadey. Well, not even really faded. It's just kind of oxidized, I guess. But yeah, that weld really covered up nicely, and this is the paint. So if you have a Husqvarna with a gray deck and you'd like to match that paint for some reason, cover up some rust or something, spot painted here and there, this is the closest one. Satin charcoal gray, it says. And it's Rust-Oleum. That one is the thing. Now, I thought this thing might have a blown head gasket because when I started, it smoked. But then I did something silly and changed the oil first. Normally, you do mechanical work and then change the oil. And when I drained the oil, it was about half gasoline. There's where your smoke come from. I just changed the oil to new oil with a nice new filter. If you happen to have Kohler Courage, the, what is it here? 3614 filter fits this. SuperTech ST 3614 is the cheapest filter that doesn't suck. You can put a Fram on it, though. This isn't the shuttle. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's a car. It ain't going to go 50,000 miles, and it ain't going to make enough oil pressure to blow it up. It's not going to bust the can. I've heard of people saying you can bust these oil filters. The Fram ones blow up. I've never seen it, but you always hear people talk. Well, this thing's done. All the pulleys, one belt that, amazingly enough, the mower belt was fine. This engaging cable up here, it was fine. It runs down through there. Everything else was okay. So engine and transmission and a really ugly welded up body is what I got. Everything else was broke. My patched gas tank is holding gas. So there's that. I'm not even going to try with the headlights. It's missing the headlight wiring harness. I probably have one, but most people don't use them anyway. I got to clean this thing up some. But overall, it's an accomplished deal. It is done. All the tires hold air. Amazing how when you put a tube in every single tire, they hold air. It makes a difference. Every one of them was leaking because it was weather cracked, except for this one. I don't know why that one was leaking, but I put a tube in it and now it doesn't leak, so good enough. There was nothing inside, no burrs or thorns or anything, nails, none of that. I rigged this chute back up with a pin from another chute, but I went to take this metal piece off here. It's got teeth and it grabs hold of this smooth rod. I had to cut the rod down a little shorter. It would have stuck out clean to here, but couldn't find that, so I just drilled a hole in it with my drill press, put a pin in it. Be easier to take off if a person ever wants to change it. Now you don't have to pry on this thing and then watch it go flying across the yard. It's gone for good. New blades. She's ready. Ugly as sin. No one will ever steal this mower. But functionally, it's almost a new one. All the moving parts are new. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to clean this thing up, but that's not a thing it really needs doing on camera, probably. And give it a swift and thorough sell. And after I test it out on my lawn, because after a big dry spell, we just had some rain, and the grass is growing. I tried it out over here. Mowed really good there. And mowed really good there. So I'm going to try it on the whole lawn. I don't know what I'm going to sell this thing for. Not a whole lot, but honestly, The way it's running, I might have to hang on to it for a little bit. It's running pretty good. All right, guys. If you like the video, like and subscribe. And I'll try to get another one out. It's been a busy month or two. But I'm doing what I can. Hey, we'll see you.